Today is Tuesday, October 19th, 2021, and we celebrate today the feast day of St. Isaac Jogues and John de Brebeuf and their companions, French Jesuit missionary priests who came to the New World, to the Americas, to French Canada, and they were eventually martyred amongst the native peoples. But we also hear today from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans, which is so deep in its theological significance for us. And he says some familiar words for us today. He says, in comparing Adam, the first man, to Jesus, he says that through the disobedience of the one, through Adam's disobedience, through Adam and Eve and the original sin, the many were made sinners. So through the disobedience of our first parents, we were all kind of inherited original sin. That tendency toward what is not good for us, the tendency to perhaps want to sin or want what's not good for us. But he says then through the obedience of the one, through the obedience of Jesus Christ to his Father's will, the many were made righteous. That now through Jesus' obedience, he gives the gift of eternal life to all who believe in him. This theme of obedience is one that's difficult for many of us because we want to know what it is that we're giving our obedience to. It's not, whenever we see something that doesn't seem to be totally worthy of our submission, then we don't want to be obedient at all, and especially in our day and age. But the obedience that we're asked to give to Jesus, to God the Father, is not just to something random or something that has faults in it, but this is to God himself. And we see that through Jesus' obedience, there's such great goodness and grace that flows from it. Because he says, as well, he says that where sin abounded, grace abounds all the more. Where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. So that when we are able to be obedient, then there is such great grace that comes from it. It's through obedience that Isaac Jogues and John de Brebeuf came to the New World to evangelize, and they joyfully came to do a difficult work and knew that they would probably be martyred, and they were. But they were joyful to do that because it was the obedience of faith that brought them there. And so our prayer today is to ask the Lord for a greater obedience to him in our faith, that we might not always be questioning whether or not this is worthy or not, but rather to say, Lord, I come to you with an obedient heart. Help me to do your will. Or we could even use the words of today's psalm, here I am, Lord, I come to do your will.